Welcome to the Rebuild Procurement Podcast, the number one procurement podcast where we dive deep into topics to keep procurement people up to date and ahead of their peers. Subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get this, wherever you listen to this, whether you like it or not. Alan, today we're diving into another episode, still fiddling with the name, but of how it's sourced. And today, given yesterday was Memorial Day, we're going to do 2 days ago, we're going to do the American flag. Any pre-thoughts here, Alan, before we dive into how it's sourced? There it is. There it is. Tune in.
Yes. Got it all.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of take this in two parts. The way we've been thinking about this is the first part is we're going to go into the history and then how it's sourced, how it's done, how it goes through today. So it should be exciting, Alan. I'm Tom Finn, bringing 15 years on the client side, procurement, finance, and category management experience in large and small cap orgs.
And I'm Alan Vick, a procurement geek on the sell side of our street. And I've assembled a team of superhuman procurement professionals that does managed services at a company that we call Summit.
All right, Alan. So first things first, I got a little quiz for you here, which I feel like I should have known, but I don't think this is common knowledge. Do you know, Alan, who was the assumed to be the first person that made the American flag? And it's not Betsy Ross.
Oh, it's not Betsy Ross. Come on. Don't burst my bubble like that.
I know, right? So there's a story around this. So it actually emerged from her grandson, came up with this story that she was a flag maker at that time, about when it was done.
Okay.
But this actually came in 1870, that he came up and he had some, his own little evidence that he came and said, hey, she had made the first American flag, but it's not the truth, right? She was a seamstress in Philadelphia, but again, she had actually made flags for the Navy.
You're going to tell me George Washington didn't shut down
yeah, so did himself.
Stop.
No, it was actually this gentleman, Francis Hopkinson. He was actually a signer of the Declaration of Independence. I feel like I have to take a look and see who actually signed that thing. There's a lot of signatures, as well as an artist, poet, and designer of government seals. And he was the chairman of the Navy
flag
board.
At the end of his signatures.
Maybe
it's like, that was mine. I did it.
Yeah. So, but he was the one that likely designed. So, given he was an artist, he likely did the design of the 13 stripes and 13 stars when it all came about. Yeah.
Forget the stains.
1777.
Sorry, that's probably sacrilegious.
There's a few more now.
Anti-patriotic.
There's a few more stars now. So, Alan, so then we go into the what do the stars and stripes mean? We learn a lot about this, whether you go, whichever school you go to. If it's in the U.S., you hear some about this, right? You see the stars, you have your 13 stripes, and then the stars, which is originally 13, which was considered a new constellation. So that circular arrangement, it gave each of the 13 states equality, which is kind of cool. It didn't really, didn't really have that perspective at first until going through this. But the
bottom ones are bigger, so that means they're not all equal.
That's a quality control problem, not necessarily. Yeah, who's the bottom two on your flag there, Alan?
Yes.
So a second thing here, the colors. So colors actually, they have meaning, but they didn't initially have meaning, or at least the 1777 Act where the flag came about, it didn't assign meaning, but it does today. So in some of the breakdown of how it's sourced, we'll go through this, I'm sure. But the red is for valor and bravery, and then it could also courage, sacrifice, as well as bloodshed of the nation. White is the purity and innocence. The pure intentions is what it was later turned to, and our high ideals. And then the blue is the vigilance, perseverance, and justice, which is specific shade is Old Glory Blue. That's the Tiffany's color of the Tiffany's blue of the American flag. Old Glory Blue. I had always just thought it was navy.
Yeah.
Another piece of trivia here, Alan, for the history around it. So obviously we went from 13 colonies to the 50, more or less states. Everyone has starting to have their own, commonwealths and things of that nature. But the 50 states, So it kept going up in 1795 when Vermont and Kentucky came about. Then it went to 15 stars and 15 stripes. And then there was a flag of 1818, which is the lasting framework. So they go through, they have these 15 stripes, 15 stars. Like, what happens when we get more states? So, like,
We're in
imagine if
trouble.
it's 20, 30, imagine 20 or 30 stripes, the difficulty it would be to have all of those equal. So then Congress actually went through and they made this decision where they would go back to the stripes as 13. And then every July 4th, after there's a new state added, I think like Hawaii and Alaska, when they're added, when it goes from 48 to 50, it's the following July 4th that they get added. So the new issuance of that flag happens at that time.
The great unveiling. Yeah, and it's here's the fun quiz question. So the last two states to come in, you mentioned them, Alaska, Hawaii. What year?
I don't know, 1982.
Well, that's no, that. So you're not wrong. You went a little far. 1960.
Okay.
1960. So within shooting distance. It feels like that was kind of yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, relatively speaking, the country itself is yesterday, right?
Yes, it is.
But yeah, okay, so 1960. Actually, I have that here in my trivia. Yeah, the 50 stars since July 4th, 1960, after Hawaii's admission.
There you go.
Yeah, and then just I think you'll get into some of this, but just some of the early, So what was the gentleman's name who wasn't Betsy Ross, right? What was Betsy Ross working with at that time?
Francis Hodgkinson.
Yeah. So I'd have to scroll up to the top. But yeah, I mean, initially it was just some like easy stuff, right? I mean, they were doing it in their houses, so it was your general sewing equipment, but the wool, the cotton, the linen, the silk, and the natural dyes, they were ahead of their time, Alan. But yeah, so I mean, that's a little bit of the history. So it all came about obviously with the need for a flag, and then there's some of the background about how we got to where we are today.
Very cool. I like that. And much like our last How It's Sourced episode, on the sourcing side, you won't be too surprised to find out that we started out with natural fibers. The first flags were made of hemp because hemp was cheap, plentiful, and also incredibly durable relative to cotton. Cotton flags are almost exclusively used for decorative, internal, inside the house, inside the building, decorative purposes, because they really don't hold color and they don't hold up well against weather. So as soon as we could, we got away from hemp and cotton. Where do we go, Tommy? You know it. You're chewing it right now.
Plastics? No, I'm not chewing it right now. Talking into it.
We could rename Old Glory Oil Glory because the new flags are all one of primarily two polymers, two plastics. Go ahead.
So polyester, and I think I'm done there. Polyester.
Okay, nylon.
Okay, nylon. It's shocking how many fabrics are made out of those. When you check the back of your, like, if you're ever checking to see if you could wash certain things, just like everything has like 20%.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we are absolutely going to do a deep dive on plastics and polymers because I think it's just the coolest thing ever. But let me show you a little graphic here. If you can.
It is incredible what's made. I mean, the irony that you save like gasoline and transportation just because of the lightweightness of things, or the durability's longer.
Yep. So yeah, the modern flag is synthetic mostly for its resilience, just because it'll last so much longer. But it does hold on to its colors much better. And as you can see in this infographic here, between nylon and polyester, polyester is about twice as expensive as a raw material input to a flag as nylon is. So that's largely the dividing factor you see today. Both of them have similar. Polyester definitely lasts longer. It's a more durable fabric. So for the flags you see flying over the White House, over the Capitol, over state houses, in places where it really matters, they're using polyester. For the flag hanging outside my house, that's going to be a nylon flag just because it's less expensive. And I get that through, this is a fun fact as well. Do you know that you can order a flag that's been flown over either the White House, or the House of Representatives, or the Senate.
No.
You just have to reach out to your senator. They've all got web pages online, and you order the flag through there. You can have it commemorate something, and they'll send you a little certificate that says this commemorates Tommy Jr.'s 12th birthday, and they will fly it over the Senate, and they'll actually raise it, lower it, and put it in a box and send it to you, and it's not expensive at all.
No
Everybody
way.
should be taking advantage of this. Yep.
Is it a what size flag is that?
You can order. They've got all sizes and all types. So I
Yeah,
typically will get the 3 foot by
that's a good one. That's a
5 foot
good size. Yeah.
nylon. Yeah, it's a good one. And that's the one that's hanging out in front of my house right now. And I put it up this year I was lazy. I put it up the day before Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
But typically I like to be kind of the all-American hang it opening day baseball.
Yeah, perfect.
But this is quite interesting. You can see that nylon, polyester, in addition to the price differences, they tend to come from different places. So the top exporters of nylon, which is by far the vast majority of flags that are made out there, top exporter is Vietnam. Then China comes in second place. You don't think China is coming in second place to many people, but as soon as you get over here to the more expensive to produce polyester, China is by far, it outstrips the rest of the world, and then goes right to European Union, Turkey, and India. So fairly interesting that this is where our flag materials are coming. Another fun fact, if you want to dig into it, we'll dig into all of this, I think, when we do our special plastics episode.
And then everyone can't wait for.
Yeah, well,
we know a decent number of people in the manufacturing space, so that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I read this, so I'm going off of memory, but I'm fairly certain that the first of these two fabrics to be discovered was actually polyester. And it was in the process of trying to perfect a polyester-like fabric that they came up with nylon.
Oh, interesting.
Less expensive to produce. But this, to put it in perspective, these were quote-unquote discovered, refined in their manufacturing capabilities in like the 1930s, 1940s. So fairly interesting that, it goes way back then. I thought it might have been more recent than that, but these guys have been working at this stuff for a long time. So let's take a step back. A flag.
And both those companies, I think, just a real quick thing, I think both those companies, like both of those products were made by like plastic chemical companies.
Oh yeah,
they were
all
like
in the
DuPonts
U.S.
type of the world. Yeah,
it was all DuPont. It was all in the U.S.
Yeah,
all of this original R&D took place in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
A flag, luckily, is pretty simple. It's that fabric that's either a polyester, a nylon, or if you had a decorative flag, could be cotton. It's grommets that are typically made either of brass, that's traditional, but if you need something that's a bit more weather resistant, think of marine applications, they use stainless steel, a bit more expensive. And interestingly, thread to sew it all together, thread to hold it all together. And this the thread is called the lifetime element of a flag because it uses a specific type of plastic.
Uses C8s or something like that.
Yeah, well, PTFE, I think it's polytetrafluoro.
A forever chemical, just for flags.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And that's the piece they say, if your flag were to completely disintegrate, the only thing that would be left would be the thread. Not even the brass, not even the stainless, but that
impressive, disturbing, both at the same time, right?
But absolutely true.
Yeah.
So we talked a bit about this. We talked a bit about this, the fabric component of it. How about the grommets? Where do we source those things? So if you look, since the vast majority of grommets are made out of brass, and I found out some fun and interesting information. There's like one company in the U.S. that's pretty much known for manufacturing these grommets. It's called Stimson. And when you go to the Stimson website, they have some crazy market share of grommets in the U.S. For the U.S. And they might be a $500 million revenue company, so they're not huge, but this is what they do. And basically, when you go to their website, it's just grommets. It's like everything grommets.
Yeah,
I watched a 2-minute video on how to use a brass mallet to set a grommet. It's like amazing, just really kind of cool stuff. So, but the brass that goes into those grommets typically is going to come out of China. No surprise there. Or Taiwan or South Korea. The rest of Southeast Asia produces the rest of the brass. There isn't much brass apparently being made here in North America. So there's the Stimson. They've been around since 1852. And if you're getting stainless steel, that's probably coming out of China. Now, interestingly, you might say, okay, so what does it mean for a flag to be made in the USA? There are two big designations. Most will say made in the USA. That means it was assembled with globally sourced parts, but it was assembled here in the US. That's made in the USA. Oftentimes, if they're really going to go one step further and source things in North America, it will say sourced in the USA, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the fabric materials were manufactured in the U.S. It just means that the threads that came and the nylon material was made probably likely in the U.S. Okay. Thanks, Tommy.
It was share full screen.
There we go. We'll learn how to do this. Sorry, I've just figured it was hiding. You look good though. You look good.
Yeah.
So everything shows. Okay, so and then as we mentioned, once you get through the fabric, once you get through the grommets, the next biggest ingredient, the next biggest item component of a flag is the sewing thread, and it's this PTFE, polyester thread. Now this, because it's a specialty fabric, it's a specialty material, mostly comes out of either the UK, the USA, or out of Germany. Finally, China comes in fourth place. Overall, if you're looking at just general sewing thread that might be polyester, that's still going to be produced in China. But the PTFE, this very specialty lifetime thread, comes out of probably a Western-based economy.
Yeah. So this is the PTFE. It's the same as the nonstick pans.
That's exactly right. Teflon. Yep.
Yeah, it's the same as Teflon. Okay.
It's the same
so
as Teflon.
One of my joke before holds in reality,
Yes.
like the forever chemical, the forever thread. Okay, yeah, they don't ever go away.
Lifetime material, I think they call it. So
yeah, lifetime guarantee.
Now, as we always do that's exactly right. As we always do, we want to give you a kind of a wrap on what the various components make up in the final cost of the flag. So here's a beautiful breakdown. Almost 50% of it is in the fabric, in the nylon. If you have a polyester flag, obviously that percentage is going to go up just a bit. Labor is a full quarter of the pie share of what it costs to put a flag together. Profit margin comes in at about 11 or 12%, so that's pretty nice. The other manufacturing costs, which might include overhead, anything associated with actually assembling of the assembly of the flag, costs about 10% of the total cost of the flag, and the thread and the grommets are about 2%. So just pretty small proportion of the flag itself. So when we think about what that supply chain looks like, raw material production typically going to happen in Asia. This is the nylon, this is the polyester. The component manufacturing, putting it together, this is where made in the USA might come into play. You can have some global specialists, but obviously you've got most of the component manufacturing, the grommets and some other things here in the US. Distribution and import, and then final assembly happening in the USA so they can get that made in the USA tag placed on their flag. So that's it. Any questions come to mind, Tom, on...
No, I think that's super cool. It's interesting that for whatever reason, I think the grommet would be more expensive as a portion just because it's metal.
Yes.
But yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize it was called a grommet either. It's the little piece that goes on top, right? The brass gold-looking piece.
It might be 1, 2, or 3 of them on the edge of the flag for holding it. Yes, holding it, hanging it.
Yeah, I was thinking of your example flag there.
And since you have young kids, you might also recognize the name Grommet from the hit UK cartoon series Wallace and Gromit.
Wallace and Gromit.
Seen that before?
Yeah, is that the clay ones?
That's the claymation.
Yeah, the claymations. Yeah, my son liked that.
Why the dog is named Grommet who knows? But it's because the British are so funny.
Yeah.
It's also they use the word trousers in there. It's more fun.
Yeah, it just sounds more special. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think that's a pretty cool recap.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool recap. So the average flag might cost you between $35 and $45. Now it's much cheaper if you buy it from your senator online. They do good sourcing. So of that, about $20 will come in the raw material, the nylon or the polyester, $10 in labor, $4 in overhead, and about $4.50 in profit. So that's it's kind of a general breakdown of your flag.
That's amazing. Awesome. Yeah, for this Memorial Day.
Yes, for this Memorial Day. And we're going to try and do more, I think, calendar-themed sourcing projects in future. So maybe we tease the audience a little bit by talking about upcoming 4th of July. You might see something on how fireworks are produced, an explosive episode. More chemistry, though. That's what I love.
I would expect that that same
chemistry.
joke to be made a few times, right?
That's exactly right. More chemistry.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, that's a wrap. Another good episode of How It's Sourced in the Can. On behalf of your humble hosts here at Rebuild Procurement Podcast, we are Tom Finn, the guy who puts Finn in finance, and your OG in procurement, Alan Veek. We're hoping you will make this a powerful and productive week in procurement. Bye-bye.
Show me, and you won't hear the word rebuild.